¿Qué onda? This is Shista Garcilaso. AZTLAN Weekly is a volunteer-based community news outlet. Our work is brought to you by the contributions of El Partido Nacional de la Raza Unida, PNLRU, also known as La Raza Unida Party. If you're interested in learning more about the party or want to join, visit www.razaunidaparty.org. Our show is also brought to you by Maíz Papin Press, a raza-based publisher producing cultura para la raza. For more info, visit their webpage, www.maizpapin.com, or find them on social media by searching at Maíz Papin Press, and keep a lookout for their upcoming book, Once Upon a Time in Occupied Aztlan, by El Indio, copyright 1985. Lastly, AZTLAN Weekly is made possible by you, the listener. If interested in offering further contributions or support, visit www.aztlanweekly.com. And now, on with the show.
¿Qué hubo, raza? Yo soy Ernesto Ayala.
¿Qué onda, raza? This is Shista Garcilaso.
And this is AZTLAN Weekly's Winter Break Especial. For our Winter Break Especial, instead of recapping only the news, we'll listen in again to the palabras, música, and thoughts shared on AZTLAN Weekly. ¡Órale!
Throughout the year, AZTLAN Weekly heard from community members, educators, writers, poets, influencers, and musicians. They inspired us, educated us, informed us, and even entertained us. Let's take another listen, raza.
Let's begin with our hermana, Luz Schweg, as she tells us about the book Somos Chicanas and its winning of awards at the International Latino Book Awards ceremony. Let's tune in.
Saludos, raza. This is your camarada, Luz Schweg, lead editor of the Somos Chicanas anthology, reporting from the Powhatan River on occupied Sinacomawach territory, otherwise known as Tidewater, Virginia. As several of you already know, last Sunday I attended ILBA, the International Latino Book Awards ceremony, held in the occupied Tacaime territory of Payoncawichum tribes, otherwise known as Oceanside in Alta Califas. While there, tuve el gran honor of receiving 2 awards for the Somos Chicanas book, the Dolores Huerta Award and the Best Women's Issue Award. I accepted them on behalf of mis hermanas, the over 80 powerful, contributing Chicana writers and poets who made this book possible, including Chicana trailblazers y mujeres grandes del movimiento como Ana Castillo, Sandra Cisneros, Irene Iblea, Carmen Tafoya, Natalia Rivas, y Lorna D. Cervantes. In 2021, when I first conceived of the idea for this book, I pictured forming a community of Chicana writers coming together to widely share our stories. So it was an amazingly validating experience for me to hear the ILBA Prize announcers give us the silver medal for the Dolores Huerta Award on Best Cultural and Community-Themed Book. Each and every one of the inspiring hermanas in this book, in their own ways, follow in Dolores Huerta's footsteps, for they are literary activists whose writings assert, explore, and cultivate a proud Chicana consciousness and culture in defiance of today's political climate and a long history of book bans that have disproportionately targeted brown women authors. Las autoras de Somos Chicanas showed up on the pages to boldly deliver messages about our indigenous roots, nuestros antepasados, nuestra tierra y libertad. Estoy muy orgullosa de ellas, sharing their voices as an act of resistance, resilience, and nourishment. I'd like to extend mil gracias a todas, along with my assistant editors and friends, talented authors in their own rights, Jenny Irizarry and Scott Russell Duncan Fernandez, who championed my idea for the anthology right from the start. And a very special thank you to our first publisher, Armando B. Rendon of Somos en Escrito Literary Foundation Press, and our present publisher, the unstoppable, of course, and most inspired Brenda Vaca of Riot of Roses Publishing House. Muchísimas gracias. Together, we all made pura medicina. Also, my gratitude to Ilva, Empowering Latino Futures, and all the judges for presenting our Somos Chicanas anthology with these awards. There is an overwhelming need for Chicana literature. Y estas Chicanas really delivered. This book represents a resilient community of autoras luchadoras, claiming our rights, our land, and our place upon the literary landscape. Porque aquí estamos, no nos vamos, y si nos echan, pues regresamos. Que vivan las autoras chicanas.
Congratulations, hermana. If you would like a copy of Somos Chicanas, visit rightofrosespublishinghouse.com.
Now, if you were following the show Raza, you would know that our camarada Scott Duncan went overseas to the UK for our AZTLAN Mundial segment and found not only white people, but surprisingly, tacos and also other raza. How did he do on his first outing in Cambridge? Let's listen in to Raza.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
I'm Scott Russell Duncan, Chicano writer and editor with the widest name. Scott! This is a special report for AZTLAN Weekly. Join me as I head into the wilds of this unknown island, the heart of whiteness, looking for Mexican food, cultura, and Mexicans themselves. I'll be finding raza and asking them, what's life like? What the hell are you doing here? And the real question, LA tacos? San Antonio tacos? Or London tacos? This is Scott Russell Duncan, Chicano writer and editor with the widest name, here at Mr. Taco. You okay with saying Mr. Taco? Yeah. Here's Mr. Taco, also with Colton Campbell, who is also in the race with me about which name is whiter, with Gabriel. We're going to ask him a couple of things. This is our special presentation on AZTLAN Mundial. I wanted to call it Raza in AZTLAN. They told me no, it's got to be AZTLAN Mundial. So here we are in Cambridge, United Kingdom, with Gabriel. So first off, hello, Gabriel.
Hello there. Pleasure to be here.
I want to say, so what are you doing in the UK?
So I came to UK mainly to study. I finished like 2 years ago.
Okay.
And now I'm just working like full time here at Mr. Taco as well in Colombian coffee at the Market Square. Probably I'll finish my works here with Mr. Taco and Colombian coffee like in November, because even though I say I'm Venezuelan, I was born and raised there. I moved with my parents to Portugal, Madeira, like 8 years ago. When I finish here, go back with my parents and remain my life.
Yeah, that sounds great. So you work here at Mr. Taco. How do you think the food, the Mexican food, is received by people here in the UK?
Surprisingly, there's many people that still have no clue what is a taco or even a burrito. I know it's super weird.
Do you have to like teach them how to eat it?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Do you say with your fingers?
Exactly.
Yes.
In your hands. I even need to show them how like the shell is like. They always ask me about the size of the taco or what is the taco, and I always like to show them. Yeah, it's just like this type of thing really with your hands.
So you roll it up and you actually pretend to eat it to show.
Exactly.
Wow.
What's more popular here, the flour or corn?
I'd say corn.
The corn? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Big surprise there.
Yeah. So have you tried tacos from any other areas?
Yeah, and there's a Mexican, well, a couple ones. And there's a Mexican one called El Chile. El Chile. It's in front of the Cambridge station.
Oh, okay. So here in Cambridge, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, I haven't tried any Mexican food outside.
Oh, outside. Oh, okay. Okay. So you just know Mexican food in Cambridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I'm very little.
No, that's cool though. You know, I mean, it's good here. So
Yeah.
it's a good place to start.
There's another like obviously there's Taco Bell. But
We're gonna have to bleep that out.
that's only for like teenagers.
Yeah.
Not a Mexican. Yeah, as well. Yeah, people that doesn't have too much knowledge about Mexican food or Hispanic culture.
So, have you ever heard of the word Chicano before?
Yes.
Oh, you have. What do you think about Chicanos? You can say what you think. We won't go with that.
So I have only heard about the meaning and people online, like in social media. I haven't met many people like Mexicanos here.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure. Yeah, sure. Because actually, one of the first Mexicans I met was Ozzy.
Okay.
And then he just presented me another Mexican people.
Well, that's cool. So it's great that you know about us. At least you know that's a start. Let's see. Anything you'd like to say to the people, the Chicano people in the U.S. Or in AZTLAN, I should say. They get mad if I don't say AZTLAN. In AZTLAN.
I have no clue about that language.
Oh, okay. This is what we call the Southwest. You know, like where we live. Anything you want to say to everybody there in LA and different parts of the country?
Well, just work hard, live your life,
And come visit.
come to visit Mr. Taco if you're in Cambridge as well.
All right.
Thanks for the ad.
Yeah, it's great talking to you, Gabrielle, and yeah, it's been a pleasure, and thanks to Colton as well. Yeah, it's great meeting you. And this has been Scott and Colton and Gabrielle. We will see you next time.
Tacos in the UK? Who knew? Muy bien, Scott. Muy bien. Now let's listen in on some history and culture shared to us by the educator, activist, and influencer Chicana Huera as she teaches us a little bit about Tonantzin.
Tonantzin isn't just one goddess. In Nahuatl, it's a title used to refer to Mother Earth figures. She predates Spanish colonization by centuries. Indigenous communities made pilgrimage to Tepeyac Hill long before 1531. When Spanish colonizers arrived, they created a shrine to the Virgin Mary on Tepeyac Hill, a place that was already sacred to the indigenous communities. Many indigenous people saw Guadalupe as Tonantzin in a new form. This unsettled the Spanish friars, since indigenous people continued to refer to Guadalupe as Tonantzin. But against the colonizers' wishes, her presence has lived on in subtle ways.
For more from Chicana Huerra, you can find her on Instagram by searching Chicana_Huerra. There were many newsworthy moments last year, perhaps two of the most covered being the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the deportation of Kilmar Garcia. For more on this, let's take another listen to what Professor Ernesto Mireles had to say for our AZTLAN y Más segment.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
This is AZTLAN y Más. I am Ernesto Morales. Charlie Kirk once bragged, "I can't stand the word empathy. Actually, I think empathy is a made-up New Age term. It does a lot of damage. On gun control, he declared, I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. He mocked victimhood, sneered at George Floyd as a scumbag, and preached that Western civilization is the best that humanity has produced. He told his audience the so-called Great Replacement was real, a rallying cry for white nationalism dressed up as political analysis. And now, with news of his assassination, the nation reels. Politicians call for calm. News anchors drip with sympathy. Institutions mobilize to honor him. But where was this urgency, this grief, when migrants drowned at the border, when indigenous women vanished without a trace, when Palestinians were bombed into rubble with U.S. weapons? That violence, state violence, settler violence, barely registers as a headline. To mourn Charlie Kirk as if his death is exceptional is to erase the daily political violence borne by brown and colonized people. The truth is, for us, violence is not a rupture. It is the structure. It's deportation, it's cages, it's drone strikes, it's ICE raids in our neighborhood. Kirk himself believed some lives were expendable, that empathy was weakness, that whiteness was civilization. If America insists on grieving him, then let it also face the thousands of lives erased under the banner of his ideas. Because until this country learns to mourn the brown, the poor, the indigenous, as much as it mourns one of its own champions, then all this talk of justice and civility is just cover for white settler supremacy. Let's talk about Kilmar Abrigo Garcia. He came to this country in 2011, just a 16-year-old kid running from the gangs that were killing young people in El Salvador. He built a life here, in Maryland, a wife, U.S.-born children. He had legal protection from deportation because everyone knew if he went back, he was a dead man. And still, the United States government grabbed him up this year, put him on a plane, and dropped him into El Salvador's CCOT mega prison, a place designed for mass punishment, for spectacle, where thousands of men are stacked like cattle in cages. They called it an administrative error, an error that ripped a father from his family, an error that ignored the court order protecting him, an error that showed us what they think of us. The Supreme Court had to step in and order the government to bring him back. He returned in June, but even now federal agents whisper about deporting him again to Uganda, to anywhere but here. They paint him with the brush of MS-13, waving police reports, informant testimony, and even his clothing as proof. No conviction, no real evidence, just the same tired playbook. Criminalize the brown man, justify the cage. Understand, this isn't about Kilmar. This is about all of us. This is the same way they have always treated Chicanos and Latinos in this country. Label us dangerous, break up our families, deport us in the dead of the night. People are taken off the streets of Los Angeles, Houston, Detroit, Phoenix, the same way Kilmar was taken. Disappeared into detention centers, jails, deportation flights, and the system shrugs, calls it law and order. But the truth is this: it is not law, it is violence. It is not order, it is control. And it is happening while politicians mouth words about democracy and human rights, while this country collaborates in genocide abroad and enforces it here at home against us. Kilmar's story is our story. It shows how fragile any protection is for our community when the state decides to target us. It shows how little value they place on our lives, our families, our futures, and it shows why we must resist. We cannot accept these disappearances as normal. We cannot allow our people to be criminalized and silent. The Supreme Court just gave ICE the green light to keep raiding our barrios in Los Angeles. They call it Vasquez Perdomo v. Nome. What does that mean? It means the highest court of the settler state has declared open season on our people. They say ICE can profile by race, language, where you work, even the block you stand on, and they call that law. And we say good, because it rips off the mask, because now we see the empire raw, stripped down, no illusions about liberty or justice. They have declared to the world that their rule of law is nothing more than colonial policing of indigenous people. They want to terrorize our families, sweep our neighborhoods, and rip people from their homes. But this is not weakness. This is clarity. The Partido Nacional says when the empire heightens contradictions, when it bares its teeth, it gives us the chance to sharpen our knives of consciousness. Every raid is a reminder that this government is not ours. Every busload they take is a testimony to the colonial project. And every barrio they invade is another Aztlán rising, another Capuli waking to the fight. So yes, let ICE come with their raids. Let the Supreme Court sanctify racial profiling. Let the empire speak its truth, because in doing so, it makes our truth undeniable. We are indigenous, we are occupied, and we will not be erased. If you are interested in more political commentary, join me and others on the Reality Dysfunction podcast. This is Ernesto Mireles reporting for Aztlán y Más, because we take Aztlán with us everywhere we go.
And now we return you to our regular scheduled program.
And in a related Palabras segment, our hermano Mike Bravo from Southern Califas had this to say.
Yo, what's good, relatives? Mike Bravo here, Kamichipili, West Los, Venice. Just wanted to share something real quick that a lot of things are always on my mind, and I don't get enough time to always express the things that I want to express and I feel I need to get expressed, especially on the west side where, you know, a lot of authentic Chicano perspective and interests are being expressed and vocalized. But anyways, this is speaking on the Charlie Kirk Memorial, in particular the Stephen Miller speech where he's talking about you build nothing, you are nothing, etc. You all saw that pretty nasty, vile, fucking reptilian garbage stuff, you know. So just as a quick note to start off, that's straight out of a Nazi playbook, Nazi propaganda. You can look it up. You know, for all you Christians out there, people who think you're following God, that fool's almost verbatim regurgitating Nazi propaganda speech points, right? Go look it up. Facts. Truth and light, right? Facts. Go look it up. But most important, the point that I really want to focus on, especially for a lot of black and brown folks and those who've had their history marginalized here in America, so-called America, this settler colonial project. He's talking about you build nothing, you are nothing, you come from nothing, whatever, and exalting the greatness of Western civilization. So for the record, again, you can go through history, go check your history books, you know, Truth and Light, right? And the world has only created 3 civilizations, right? That's the civilization of corn, Mesoamerica, the Americas, right? Emanating from Central America, Mexico area, right? The civilization of rice, right, which is in Asia, right? And the civilization of wheat, which is Sumeria, Africa, Middle East area right there too. Those are the only 3 civilizations that the world has created, right? Everything, again, this is not to like exalt or be hierarchical and to be those things that we despise, right? There's linear, hierarchical way of thinking, right, or putting others below us. But facts are facts, and Europe only got their civilization, or the so-called Western civilization, from borrowing from other cultures, namely, you know, Asia, Africa, and even when they came to the Americas and they raped and pillaged all our resources and all our people, they took a lot of our sciences back, a lot of our foods back, which helped regenerate and, you know, help spark the Renaissance that they so proudly brag about, right, in their civilization. It was all, everything that Europe ever did, again, not to exalt, to put people below or above, but just to be factual, all of Europe's technology and advancements came from what they borrowed from everywhere else in the world, in Asia and Africa and so-called Americas, Turtle Island, Eagle and Condor nations, right? So that's just fact. Go look it up. Go do your history. Again, there's another reason why it's so important to really, especially for black and brown people, to know the history, because otherwise you start thinking other people are better than you because you don't have history and your history is not shared with you, when all along your history and your civilization, your people and your culture that's marginalized and condemned in society are the ones who help build this whole world, So anyways, just a quick blurb. Make sure you're studying your history authentically and diligently, and that's it. Peace.
For more from my hermano Mike Bravo, search on social media Keepers of the West. You might be wondering how Scott's doing overseas in the UK.
Let's check out his next outing, where in a shocking revelation, Scott confesses he might be the originator of the tofu taco.
This is a special report for AZTLAN Weekly.
I'm Scott Russell Duncan, Chicano writer and editor with the widest name. Here with fellow Pocho, Colton Kuka Campbell. Hello. This is a special edition of AZTLAN Weekly called AZTLAN Mundial, and I'm here today with...
I'm Sofia from Latin American House. We are here in London.
And we're going to ask Sophia what she thinks of various things with likes in London here. And I guess that's the first question. What's your background and what are you doing in London?
All right. So I'm from Uruguay, one of the tiniest countries in the region. I came to England to study my master's, and then I met my husband. I left everything I had in Uruguay, my very good job, my flat, my car, and decided to stay here. I'm very, very happy here. So it was an excellent decision. And now I'm working at Latin American House, which is a charity in London, northwest London, that supports the Latin American community living in the UK, but particularly in London.
How long have you been in the country?
6 years.
6 years, wow. So, what have you heard the word Chicano before today?
Yeah, many times. And I saw it was a derogative term. So when I came across you, I thought, okay, this is interesting. And then we were talking, and I think it's very good that you are reappropriating and resignifying the concept, because that's kind of shows agency,
Oh yeah. We actually started in the 70s when it did that. I didn't personally do it myself.
Oh well,
yeah.
you know, as a collective, as a group of people that identify as Chicano.
So what's your conception of Chicanos, or what do you think of what do you, for you, maybe in Uruguay or even in the UK here, what do you think about Chicanos? What have you heard about them, or what do you think about them?
Well, as I say, I thought it was a derogative term and very stereotypical because you came across it on Hollywood movies and things like that. And so yeah, that was my idea, some kind of, I don't know, I think the way Hollywood depicts whatever is not white, a bit backward, a bit rustic.
Wow.
I don't know, that's my idea.
That sounds typical Hollywood depiction of us, yeah. So what do you think? I mean, obviously you see the news, and what do you think about the situation now? Obviously, how do you see, through your news agencies, channels? What do you think about the situation on immigration and ICE and this kind of thing?
In the States?
In the States, yes.
Wow, yeah. So, to be honest, I decided to not be that exposed to news lately because I was being a bit overwhelmed. So of course, the first thing I did was I dropped out of Twitter. But it was a kind of weird experience because that was my way, at some point, it was a very important tool, sorry if I overspeak, but it was a very important tool to be aware of what's going on. I follow certain media, and I love to follow media from my country, but also I used to follow media from the States, from Argentina, from Europe before coming here, because I think it's important to know what's going on. But then Twitter became the thing, what's now X.
Yes.
And that's there's nothing there to learn anything about anything. And then I find it very hard now to follow the news because I have to go one media by one media. It takes forever, you know. So I feel a bit disconnected, but so I disregate a lot. So what was the question?
I mean, when you hear about ICE and the immigration things going on in the States.
To go to the answer, I think we are living in a very, very difficult time. And what we see in the States is absolutely scary. I have come across people in different moments, in different contexts, that live in the States and say, of Latin American heritage, and they say, we don't feel safe living there. I have friends that have family living there, and they are thinking about going visiting their family because they don't feel safe. But I think it's something that's going on in the States, but it's something, the hate is spreading everywhere. So it's not just located in the States.
And I wanted to ask, what is the importance of the Latin American House? What services are you providing in the current climate to sort of, combat or resist that?
Well, we are part of a coalition here that's called CLOC, Coalition of Latin Americans in the UK. So it's a group of charities that support Latin American community in different ways. And through CLOC, there are a couple of campaigns that I think are important. One of these is we are trying to get recognition in the UK as an ethnic minority. Because as a migrant group, that's important. It allows us to have statistical information about the Latin American community in the UK, what's the life situation, and so on, and then we can better support the community, right, with information. And the other important thing that CLOC does, to probably do many more things, and it would be fantastic if you can talk with someone from CLOC. But it's about promoting the voting within the community, because it's a right you after you become a citizen in this country, it's a right you have, and so if it's a right, you should make use of it, regardless of the options you have for voting. That's a different question, I guess. I don't know if I answered the question.
That sounded good. Well, to change up things a bit. So, do you like Mexican food, or have you had it before?
Yes, of course, and I love it. I have a soft version of Mexican food, to be honest, because I can't deal with very spicy food, but yes, I love it. Do you have any kind of like tacos? I told you about the taco war that exists and that is never ending between El Paso, San Antonio. It's even going on now because we have someone from San Antonio here, and I'm from LA and Southern California. I said retention,
retention, so, have you had any tacos from any other place other than London, or are there good places in London that you go to?
Well, the first time I tried tacos, it was in Chicago.
Okay, we can't talk to you anymore.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What can I say? I don't remember them, so they weren't very memorable.
That's the correct answer. We may continue.
And then in London, I love a place called La Lupe. It's very good tacos, I think, because they have proper tortilla. You know, when you go to other places, it's difficult sometimes to find tortilla made of corn. Mm-hmm. So this is proper, and I like that. And I must say, my favorite food is burrito, though, and I made amazing one. Sorry, I'm not being humble, but I mean, of course, a soft version, not very spicy, but it's very good.
I believe I invented the tofu burrito in the 1980s when I was a kid using leftover Chinese food, but I just want everyone listening to understand that I was the inventor. So yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I love burritos as well. Let's see. The other thing is, I used to come to London And the Mexican food was insane. It was like a strange alien concept. And I think that's changed quite a lot. It's like seems pretty close to authentic, where I wouldn't question it too much, like as I had it in the U.S. Right? I mean, have you would you say it seems authentic here, or as far as you know? Or?
The point is, I don't have a proper parameter of reference because I haven't been to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So my criteria to say this place looks authentic is how are the tortillas made?
Mm-hmm.
Are they made of corn flour or some weird mix? And that's my parameter.
Okay.
So you fall on the side of corn.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's an important question often in the Mexican and Chicano community, corn or flour.
It is often.
Yeah. But corn is like always the right answer.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you. Thanks to you, and Sophia, and to you, Colton. This has been Scott Russell Duncan for AZTLAN Weekly, the special report, AZTLAN Mundial. See you guys next time.
Now we return you to our regular scheduled program.
The tofu taco.
You did it again, Scott. Muy bien, Scott. Muy bien.
Now, AZTLAN Weekly has grown from a 5-minute program to 15 minutes to 20 minutes to 30, and even close to an hour-long program. Along the way, we received endless music, beats, and sounds from music producer Hennessy Pedro Parker. And late last year, we were finally able to hear his rap game in our technical difficulties segment. Let's take another listen.
Spensa, damas y caballeros, we seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. I don't know, just put it in a tape.
Ladies and gentlemen, we seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Maybe you're tired, you're bored, you're huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuge of your team ensure. Say these are homeless tempest tossed to leave. I lit my lamp beside the golden door. Kamala went to visit the border, yearning for a photo op. But the words she said reminded us of Trump. Do not come, said Kamala to the cameras. Take your poor, tired, huddled asses back, wherever the hell they came from.
Right here in Houston, Texas, on Emancipation Avenue. They got a baby jail and they caging them like animals. Same street where Carver Hampton got shot. Now isn't that ironic? Emancipated they're not. When the cameras disappear is when the politicians leave. Fake activists take photos for their Instagram feeds. I voted Democrat, but then they took away our seats. And you already know the Republicans are disease. And fuck ICE, they worse than the police. With a few thousand people, we can set the children free. It might sound crazy, but just look on the TV. It's now when the people put them boots up in the streets. Babies kidnapped by Homeland Security, taken from their families and stripped of their liberties. Turned a blind eye, now that's not a possibility. Let the children out them cages, burn the whole facility.
To Trumpian, dystopian, handcuffed fallopian. Voted for Biden, voted Obama, voted the way we were told would be better. But better means something so subtle, we have no rebuttal. We voted for hope change, ropes change, hopes to change. Remain in Mexico, remain ineffectual. Still got them in cages, the pandemic rages, and it all all presages these climate changes. Making refugees flee to the borders. Was lurking our payos, thrown in the bayous. Chased by cowboys on horses, backed by armed forces. Nurses pass forceps in hearses, sip nightcaps on TikTok. Trade you 2 clicks on the doomsday clock. Towards midnight, the very next morning, mourn the extinctions. Who earned the distinction of a sinking sensation. Who earned free delivery on incarceration. Sweatshop made, factory farm. Children were harmed in the making of this unarmed coup by the same system that brought you the flu and the new cure. Take 2. Do not come, said Kamala to the cameras. Take your poor, tired, huddled asses back, wherever the hell they came from.
But, you know, I mean, I think about, like, there's very little that I can do as a person, but bringing awareness through our music means a lot.
Thanks for hanging in there, listeners. Now back to AZTLAN Weekly.
That was a song by the Free Radicals called Bipartisan Baby Jail, featuring Michelle T., Karina Nistel, and our very own Hennessy Pedro Parker from the album White Power Outage.
AZTLAN Weekly isn't only concerned about news and history, we're also concerned about the health of the community. And so our camarada Shak has taken the time to share her thoughts on physical, mental, and emotional health. Let's take a listen as she and her co-host, Tlalok, share some important word in Salud con Shak.
Good morning and good afternoon. Depende donde estás en AZTLAN. This is Chuck. I'm here to give a daily or weekly, right? AZTLAN Weekly. We're with AZTLAN Weekly, and we're just here hanging out at what is Devonshire or Devonwood Park. You know, I like to hang out with my kids and take them to all these public spaces. So we get out and we take up a lot of space, and we're working through that, making sure that our community is well on our daily walks. Today we're in the car, we're hanging out, and we're just, you know, observing the life, right? And I had a friend who was asking me to do a... Yes, baby. Oh, can you say your name? I'm here with Tlalok. He's joined me. And so, but yeah, he asked me if we could do a little segment on health, and yeah. So here I am. I don't know where to start, but I do know one thing is that, you know, as we hear it all the time, you know, that healing is not linear, right? And you know, I was just explaining to Ernesto how you know, when we think about water, we think about how it reaches, you know, this cascade, this point of climax. You know, there's a release, and that release comes with the branching out of these waters, right? And some go down a much rougher stream, others probably end up in a pond or in a, you know, slower flow of water. But that is how I like to describe sometimes how we heal, is that there may be times when our body demands that we heal right away, and it throws all these symptoms at us, and, you know, ways of us feeling different things for the sake of our own well-being, our survival. And you know, that's how I've been looking at healing lately, is that there will be times where I feel like we're not really moving forward, you know, and we'll hit those swampy areas, and you know, that's where our feelings are, you know, become stagnant. That's where we feel that we can be still, because even that brings a lot of medicine into our lives personally. But I will be sharing a little more insight down the line. If y'all have any questions or on things that you would personally like to hear on AZTLAN Weekly, feel free to reach out to the brother, and we'll have a little discussion, a little dialogue on how to help our communities heal together during these times. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, y'all.
Now let's go back and take a history lesson from Curly Tlapoyawa's AZTLAN Classics to learn about the legendary Chicana journalist and activist Jovita Hidar.
Jovita Hidar is a Chicana icon. Born in 1885 in Laredo, Texas, Jovita was a pioneering journalist, teacher, and activist whose work left a lasting impact on civil rights and education. She used her voice to fight for the rights of Mexican Americans through her family's newspaper, La Crónica, where she tackled issues like racial discrimination, women's suffrage, and poor working conditions. In 1911, she helped organize the first Mexican Congress in Texas, advocating for bilingual education and labor rights. The conference motto was the bold, Todo por la raza y para la raza. During the Mexican Revolution, she provided aid and support to refugees and wounded soldiers. Hidar's activism challenged both gender and racial norms of her time. Today, she is remembered as a trailblazing journalist and organizer who uplifted her community and paved the way for future generations of Chicana leaders and writers. Que viva Jovita Hidar.
For more from Curly's AZTLAN Classics, go to Instagram and search AZTLAN Classics.
AZTLAN Weekly is proud to share the mic with our Raza community. Let's take a listen to one of the very first contributors that shared flowers and song or poetry, La Hermana Diosa X.
Hola, hola Raza. This is Diosa Xochiquetzalcoatl with a poem for you from my collection titled West of the Santa Ana and Other Sacred Places. And the poem is titled One Mariposita Que Try to Fly. Some people insist on being rooted, yet not all of us are trees. Others insist we grasp the ground when there are those of us who have wings. Creepy crawlers know one thing, to creep and crawl the earth. There are those of us who fly through skies, been doing so since birth. I was born in LA County, raised in the great OC. I've roamed through the counties of Riverside and the ginormous SBC. I jumped across the border to reconnect with my Chicali roots. My earthly regalia runs the gambit from ribbon skirts to classic suits. The Purépecha mariposa makes every corner her home. I too am a Tzintzun, meant to roam and roam. Yet some people still insist, trying so hard to root down my need. I too am a butterfly, flying high and flying free. Thank you.
For more from Diosa X, visit her website, diosax.net.
It's been some time since we checked in on Scott. Let's listen in and find out how his next outing in the UK went.
Will he solve the which taco is best question? Let's find out.
I'm Scott Russell Duncan, Chicano writer and editor with the widest name. Here with another Pocho named Colton Campbell. We are doing a special report for AZTLAN Weekly called AZTLAN Mundial. Again, I wanted to call it Raza in UK, but they told me AZTLAN Mundial. So instead of Raza, I'm here with an English guy named David Rothon. He's down, and we're going to ask him some questions about Chicanos and tacos, and we'll see how it goes. So David, hello, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing very well, Scott. How are you?
Pretty well. So maybe the first one, have you ever been to the U.S. and did you see any Mexicans, Chicanos, other than me?
I saw you, yeah. I have been to the US. I've been when I was a child. I don't remember who I saw, to be honest, but I also went about 3 years ago to go hiking in Yosemite National Park.
And you didn't see that. Have you heard the word Chicano before?
I've heard it from you.
Okay.
I don't think I'd heard it. I think maybe I'd heard it before that, but wouldn't have known really what it meant.
What do you think about Mexican people, Mexican Americans, and
Colin's giving me a thumbs up, so I've got to be positive.
From off mic, yes. But what are your ideas about, not that you like them or not, but what are your idea about the culture and like things about us?
It's a good question. So I would say, to be honest with you, that almost everything that I know about Mexican Americans comes from TV shows from America featuring Mexican Americans. Like we don't meet any unless you go to America. So it's all, and that's true of everything in the UK. It's all of our impression of America is filtered through TV.
George Lopez.
I don't know who that is. But he sounds amazing. I have heard the name. I don't know who George Lopez is.
Do you know Cheech and Chong?
Mexican Americans don't like to just get into gang fights. They like flowers and music and white girls named Debbie too.
Again, I know that they like to smoke a load of weed. That's about it.
All Chicanos,
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't even know they were Chicanos. So are Chicanos Mexican American?
Yeah, that's what we are.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what it means.
Okay, what's your, do you like Mexican food, and what's your impression?
I do like Mexican food. I don't eat a lot of meat, so what I like is Mexican foods, like lots of beans, lots of rice, lots of vegetables. That's my ideal diet. It's really healthy, so I'm a big fan of that. And spicy.
Oh, you like spicy food?
Yeah, love really hot. I say really hot food. I don't know whether that in your world is hot, but what I consider hot.
Yeah, you're already getting points with our audience with that. So how many have you had any tacos in LA or San Antonio
Or Mexico City?
San Francisco.
San Francisco, okay.
Yeah, which I'm just by the look on your face, I'm guessing is not the best place to get.
There's kind of a war between like what taco's good, LA or San Antonio or El Paso. Or
to be honest, I didn't even have tacos in San Francisco. I had a burrito.
Okay.
I think the first tacos I've ever had were actually the ones that we had this evening in Cambridge.
Oh, okay.
At Mr. Taco.
Yeah, I did take my hat off to the Cambridge taco. That was a good taco.
I think it's because like burritos tend to be more like bean and rice oriented, whereas tacos work better in my head. Like they work better when you have meat.
Yeah, I can see that. Colton, do you have any questions for our esteemed guest here?
How do you explain the Mexican culture in Cambridge? What does it consist of?
I think it's pretty small, to be honest. Like we do have quite strong communities of like non-English communities, but not really Mexican. So we have like a lot of Syrian and Lebanese. They'll have like a community that you would say like that's the community of that place. But we don't. I wouldn't say that like there's a Mexican community. There's nowhere in Cambridge I would go specifically, or even Spanish speaking, to be honest. So they're just dotted around, basically, like along with loads of other nationalities. Cambridge is super international.
What do you think the British view of Mexican Americans are?
From TV.
Yeah, like mostly from TV. I think, like, I know this is going to sound really negative, but I think a lot of the discussion, a lot of the stuff we hear about is to do with immigration and it's to do with Trump or whoever. It's obviously a big topic, you know, for both sides, so to speak. So, like, that's what a lot of you hear about in the news, let's say, about Mexican Americans or Latin Americans or whatever, will be like, ex-politician is saying this about migrants or not, which is unfortunate because it's obviously just a tiny part of what's newsworthy, but it's the kind of news that we would probably get. And there aren't loads of depictions of, I can't think of that many TV shows that are like purely depictions of that culture, right, where like all the protagonists are like Mexican Americans. There are some maybe, but like I've never heard of one. So.
Would you like to see more TV shows or culture from Mexican Americans that you may not know about?
Yeah, if there was a show by Mexican Americans that depicted their lives from the inside rather than they were just featured as part of another show, I would definitely watch it. If it was good.
Well, there you heard it. There is demand, an absolute demand for Mexican culture, Mexican American culture in the UK. You heard it here first. With that, do you have anything to add, Colton? Or
I don't think so. Thank you for agreeing to the interview.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And good luck stealing the mask.
No, shut up with that. Wait a second. Wait. Cut. If I'm still around, this has been Scott Russell Duncan, Colton Campbell with David Ralston with AZTLAN Weekly. Hopefully we'll see you back soon.
And now we return you to our regular scheduled program.
Oh, pues que Scott. Muy bien, señor.
As our comrade Scott Duncan has shared with us, not only is he the Chicano with the whitest name, he's also an accomplished editor and writer. Let's listen to him share what he's been up to and a sample of his work, where he tries his first spicy salsa. Will he live to eat another taco? Let's find out. Take it away, Scott.
I'm Scott Russell Duncan, a Chicano writer and editor. My novel, Old California Strikes Back, just marked its one-year anniversary. It's been called a Chicano fear and loathing in Las Vegas, a mix of memoir and fantasy, tracing the myths of Mexican and native California and my own family story. It's published through Flower Song Press, and so ask for it at your local bookstore. Today, I'll be reading a short excerpt titled, My Heart is Bathed in Chilies. The first time I had real hot peppers, a part of me died. Home was virtually a pepper-free zone as my Chicana mother only ate pickled jalapenos whose vinegar I found unappealing, and my white father made a pico de gallo he called hot sauce, which I would later call Anglo sauce. Yet I saw hot pepper consumption often since I stayed every summer with my grandparents in LA. We'd eat over at my Aunt Linda's, and everyone would dump hot sauce over everything at breakfast, and every time I would ask, is there any ketchup for me and my sister? Aunt Linda would look at me. I don't know, eyes wide. Hey, Rebecca, is there any ketchup left over from when you dated that guy, the gringo? You mean Steve? Yeah. My cousin Rebecca would then bring the year-old ketchup bought for some polite and terrified white boyfriend for our eggs or potatoes. All eyes would be on me and my sister in our ketchup shame. Grandma would stare at the globs on our plate and say, "You going to eat that?" My uncle would say, "I think they are." My sister, Laura, the tougher one, would glare back at our family saying, "We like ketchup." And then everyone would purse their lips and say, "We got to do something about how white you kids are." I met my chili pepper death after one of those ketchup shame breakfasts. I walked into the kitchen and saw my Uncle Joe sweating and holding on to the counter. He was eating chips and heaps of salsa. "Is it good?" I asked him. He wiped the side of his face. "Oh, it's good," he sputtered. "Your grandma made it." There is no place safer than a kitchen with my grandmother, and nothing more inert than the only homemade salsa that I knew, Dad's Anglo sauce. I ate some of Grandma's salsa, a big some. And then I thought I had slurped nail polish remover. It was like drinking the whiskey from the jar that old Joaquin Murrieta's head. And years later, when I saw the Crapola movie, Interview with a Vampire, and Brad Pitt gets bitten in the graveyard and yelps and the world goes gray before it becomes hyper rainbow real, I thought, hey, that's how eating my first hot peppers was. Vampirism must be easy. But then my first real hot pepper hit, the chilies took the slow bus down my throat and got off of my chest. I looked over at my grandmother, whose name Mercy seemed ironic, and asked, "Why, Grandma, why?" Grandma Mercy, washing a pot, called over, "Don't blame me, Scotty, your uncle likes it." I too held the edges of the counter, dreading the mass of chilies ever hitting my stomach. Yet the chilies never made it there, and instead settled in my heart. The chilies consumed the slow, vivid world, and then consumed my heart itself. And I loved them. My uncle patted my back, not as sweaty as his face, "For burning the white boy out of you, mijo." And ever since then, chili peppers have been my vampire blood and air. And often my heart burned because of disappointments and indignations, but all the fires felt like chili pepper fire. Books I read seem to describe this burning. Seguin, the Tejano hero of the revolution, who was later robbed of everything by the very Texans he fought for, warned Chicanos that we would be treated as foreigners in our own land. Montezuma, writhing in his palace in Tenochtitlan, said it better as an Aztec city fell under Cortez. My heart is bathed in chilies. Dissatisfied and disenfranchised hearts burn. My heart burns because 1846 has never ended. My heart burns because I'm still seen as a descendant of Cain, who we know from trash romance novels is our vampire father, but it really means I'm a native of Turtle Island. My heart burns because I've survived here, in a place of many fires, the dry kindling my homeland in Southwest. I've changed many to my side to chili vampirism. They sweated and burned as I had, till they saw the world anew with chili pepper eyes. If you love me, you love chili peppers. Montezuma's chili swishing heart, my own spicy heart. You can also check out the speculative anthology I edited, Chicanx Futurism, Gritos for Tomorrow. Stories, essays, art, poetry, and comics, imagining routes of futures where we're not side characters. I also served as assistant editor for Somos Chicanas, the first Chicana anthology in decades, edited by Lee Schweg. Get both anthologies at riotofrosespublishinghouse.com or request them at your local bookstore.
If you tuned in to AZTLAN Weekly every week, you might have noticed there was and still is one book we just can't get enough of. Somos Chicanas.
And so instead of telling you about it, we invited one of its poets, professor and writer Sonia Gutierrez, to share her flower song, her poetry. Let's take another listen.
My name is Sonia Gutierrez. It's an honor to be here with AZTLAN Weekly and sharing my palabra with you. I'll be reading three poems and a vignette that appear in this amazing anthology called Somos Chicanas. It is edited by Luis Schweig and team. So it's beautiful, beautiful book. Please look for it. Cosmos, after Maria Sabina. I am a wind woman from the whirlwind of memory. I am a tree woman with perfectly imperfect knots. I am a fruit woman from the ripe mango and avocado trees. I am a bird woman fluttering through time. I am a water woman who drips between her legs. I am a blood woman who flows to and from rivers and oceans. I am a moon woman who rides high tides. I am a fish woman tattooed with a pellet of rainbows. I am an earth woman from the depths of sacredness. I am a corn woman from the harvest of my ancestors. I am a fire woman who evaporates holy water. I am a spider woman who stealthily weaves herself. And one day, I will be a bone woman who will return dressed as a cosmos. And you, who are you? Cosmos, al estilo de María Sabina. Soy mujer viento del remolino de la memoria. Soy mujer árbol con nudillos perfectamente imperfectos. Soy mujer fruta de los árboles del mango y aguacate maduro. Soy mujer pájaro que revolotea a través del tiempo. Soy mujer agua que se escurre entre sus piernas. Soy mujer sangre que fluye al mar y al río. Soy mujer pez, tatuada con la paleta de los arcoíris. Soy mujer luna que pasea las mareas altas. Soy mujer tierra de la profundidad sagrada. Soy mujer maíz de la cosecha de mis antepasados. Soy mujer fuego que evapora el agua bendita. Soy mujer araña que se teje sigilosamente. Y un día seré mujer hueso que retoñará vestida del cosmos. ¿Y tú? ¿Quién eres? And so, what a blessing for my work to appear in this book. And another piece that appears is a vignette called Dreaming with Aurora. And here it goes. Dreaming with Aurora. Ay, qué bonito es volar a las 2 de la mañana. A las 2 de la mañana. Ay, qué bonito es volar. Ay, mamá, la bruja. It was November, in the time of memories and dreams. She wore her long black hair down over her shoulders, and her favorite white gown touched her calves. Her bare feet were dry like the desert dust, craving for a drop of water. Under the chirimoya tree, she sat on a concrete bench while she took in her surroundings that looked like her home, then continued on her journey. She saw the rabbit on the moon peer through the tall almond tree heavy with flowers. Its leaves glistened and danced feverishly as she passed by. Even though the smell of eucalyptus trees permeated the backyard, she couldn't smell them as much as she tried. Something else called her, a smell more powerful, the smell of bright orange cempasúchil flowers. As she got closer to the backside of the house, she recognized the geranium clay pots lining alongside the house. The estafiate and ruta plants were well taken care of for a second. She thought they were hers. But as she approached a bedroom window, she saw her face reflected. She didn't know if she was La Llorona or La Bruja or the two of them in one. Through her eyes, she didn't look terrifying, not to herself. Looking at her face did startle a bit, but what startled her most were her feet. They weren't touching the ground. Her body moved slowly, heavy, with time on her shoulders. To her altar. Her body moved slowly, heavy with time on her shoulders to her altar, where she found her picture in a wooden frame, the only picture of her, the one with her hair tight in a long braid. The candle's flame flickered, and the red, bright pink, royal blue, green, and yellow ribbon hanging from the window's frame swayed as she moved to a corner in the living room, next to La Virgen de Guadalupe. Her favorite dish, mole rojo, frijoles and arroz, was still warm with her daughter and granddaughter's hands. Next to the mole, her family had placed a glass of water to quench her thirst. She remembered who she was. She was Aurora, and her granddaughters, Paloma and Sofia, had guided her to the place of the living. After reuniting with family members placed next to her on the family altar, Aurora then visited Elena, sleeping next to her husband. She found her in the same position she slept as a child, staring at her daughter's grown woman's face. Aurora leaned over and kissed her daughter on the forehead. Elena woke up, stayed still, and asked, "Mamá, ¿eres tú?" With no answer and heavy with sleep, she went back to dreaming. In the morning, I woke up, confident my grandmother had visited altar. Both Paloma and I had set up for the night before. I sat on my bed, recollecting my dream, then rose to my feet and stared out the window. I had dreamt I was walking. No, I was floating, like La Llorona, but wasn't sure if the woman in the dream was my grandmother Aurora, a bruja, or La Llorona. It was November, in the time of Ay de mi llorona, 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 llévame al río. Tápame con tu rebozo, llorona, porque me muero de frío. That's the vignette that appears in this beautiful, amazing book, Somos Chicanas, that you can find through our press. Well, I'm including myself as a press, but yes, this is Brenda Vaca's press. What a powerful chingona, the Riot of Roses publishing house. So you can find it on the website, her website. You can also find it on Amazon and many other publishers online. To conclude this beautiful opportunity to read for you, I'm gonna finish with notes on the Holy Ghost and her atheist daughter. So the pieces that I've read to you, the poems appear in the Cosmos poems appear in Pájaros de Papel, Pluma por Pluma, Paper Birds, Feather by Feather, and that is published by El Martillo Press, de Los Chingonones del Matzedillo y el David Romero. Y luego, the vignette, Dreaming with Aurora, appears in my award-winning book, and that one's called Dreaming with Mariposas, and it's an honor really to be part of this familia of authors. So, notes on the Holy Ghost and her atheist daughter. Ama, promise me when you die, you will return and talk to me. I request months before a tall sequoia tree with long, emaciated branches elongates her last breaths. 1. When I'm finally ready, I call out, Mama, and the laptop turns on. I talk with you, floating electrical current who flickers lights. We talk for about 10 minutes. I say my goodbyes. Gracias, Mamá, por tomarte el tiempo para hablar conmigo. Mother always on point. The laptop turns off. 2. You are looming, emitting soft, gentle tinkers above the glass bulb holders. Who knew your presence could make such sweet sounds, even in spirit? How do you do that? Are you holding an invisible fork? 3. You are already ready in the room. When Father returns to celebrate you, he opens a guest room and you turn off the lights on a whim. I tease Dad. Es mi mamá. ¿Qué hiciste para que te pagara la luz? 4. Queen of the Simplasuchi, on your day, family comes from distant places to be with you, our Holy Ghost. The tamales and champurrado are ready. Come and eat. Oh, please don't hide behind the white columns. We are all here, waiting with our bony faces. 5. Around here in front of your bedroom window, your green thumb is still present in the earth. Outside, a thorny rose bush blooms the heaviest of reds. Mother, you look so majestic, dressed in deep green foliage. In dreams, wearing a crown of flowers and an obsidian face, you tell me, your atheist daughter, Dios te ilumine, mija. And thank you so much again for this invitation. Ernesto Ayala, thank you for this vision. And again, you can look for our book, Somos Chicanas, an all Chicana anthology illuminating both enduring and new Chicana identity, presence, and culture. And this is a book that's edited by Luis Schweig. So again, thank you and have a beautiful, blessed day. And we look forward to the full moon in the next day.
Speaking of great books, our camarada Robert Ramirez took the mic to tell us about the origins and details of the Brown Book Club. Let's listen in.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Robert Ramirez. Welcome to AZTLAN Weekly. I'm super excited I get to jump on here and talk about my passion, and that is books. So about 5 years ago, started this club called the Brown Book Club. If you've never heard of it, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're kind of trying to put things out there wherever we can. But the group is primarily based off of Facebook. So what's it all about? Who are we? You know, why did we start? Essentially, back in 2020, we all know those were crazy times. We had COVID. It was a very politically heated moment in time. People were protesting, you know, it was just, there was fear in the air. There was uncertainty in the air, you know. It was kind of like it is now, honestly, right? Except we weren't allowed to go outside and people were going crazy. So I always turn to books, art, reading, culture in those times, you know. And so I said, hey, I'm going to start a little book club. Anyone that might be interested, you know, I threw it out there on Facebook. And I was thinking it would just be, you know, me and a few friends, a few local people here in the Denver area. And it just kind of, I feel like a lot of people were feeling the same way. One of the members once told me, it's like, yeah, I think at that time we were all just kind of reaching out, looking for community. And that's what happened. Just hundreds of people turned to thousands of people. And here we are 5 years later with thousands and thousands of members all over the country, all over the world. And it's just been a beautiful thing, right? We're focused on Chicano writers and Latino writers, indigenous writers, and it's just been so great. We get to come together, talk about our history, our culture. You know, there's that cliche of, you know, we don't know where we're going if we don't know where we've been, and although it's a cliche, it's so true. The more we understand where we come from, the better we are to go out and participate in the world, this very political world of ours. And yeah, so it's just been amazing. We read novels, we read poetry, nonfiction, but mostly it's for entertainment. There are times when I just want to go hard on Chicano literature and let's talk about the movement and let's get revolution. And
being Mexican American is tough. Anglos jump all over you if you don't speak English perfectly. Mexicans jump all over you if you don't speak Spanish perfectly. We've got to be twice as perfect as anybody else. Why are you laughing? What's so funny?
Nothing.
I'm serious. Our family has been here for centuries, and yet they treat us as if we just swam across the Rio Grande. I mean, we got to know about John Wayne and Pedro Infante. We got to know about Frank Sinatra and Agustin Lara. We got to know about Oprah and Christina. Anglo food is too bland, and yet when we go to Mexico, we get the runs. Now, that to me is embarrassing.
No, Dad!
Japanese Americans, Italian Americans, German Americans, their homeland is on the other side of the ocean. Ours is right next door, right over there. And we got to prove to the Mexicans how Mexican we are, and we got to prove to the Americans how American we are. We got to be more Mexican than the Mexicans and more American than the Americans, both at the same time. It's exhausting. Man, nobody knows how tough it is to be a Mexican American.
But honestly, guys, it's just, let's get together, let's read some novels, and let's laugh. Let's talk with other members about our families. That character reminds me of my tia, my abuelita. It's that kind of a group where you become family right away. And our moderators, the leaders in the group, have been just amazing. They make it all possible. And yeah, I mean, we're always looking for more leaders. We're always looking to spread out. Not only are we online, we have our online presence, but we are starting to have micro book clubs all over the country, with the same, the Brown Book Club LA, the Brown Book Club Denver, the Brown Book Club Chicago, wherever you are, right? Start your own chapter. Let's focus on culture, community through books, literature, literacy, reading, education. So yeah, that's what we're all about. I appreciate AZTLAN Weekly for giving me the chance to talk about it. Obviously, it's my baby. You guys have a great rest of your week. Everybody take care.
If you're interested in joining the Brown Book Club, search Brown Book Club on Facebook and Instagram.
Now let's tune back into Salud con Chak as she and co-host Lalo share with us how to keep warm or keep cool during this unusually gray and sunny winter season. Listen as they suggest ancestral foods for the mind, body, and soul.
Buenas tardes a todos. Están escuchando Salud con Chak. Y estamos aquí en la librería con los niños, tomando espacio como siempre, asegurándonos que los niños estén apoyados por la comunidad. We're, taking space as always. Making sure that the kids are supported in different ways. There's quite a lot of resources out here. Plenty of beautiful books on cultura. They got a cool little youth section and a Spanish section. They got the cyber helper, and which is really important for a lot of people that want to learn new skills, in particular around technology and learning to use a computer, assisting kids with their homework and, making payments. A lot of questions are pretty much around like the basics around how to use a computer. What are you doing here? What are you watching? Tell us more about what you're watching. As always, I'm here joined by Tlaloc. He's watching a duck show. But yeah, I've noticed that we've had pretty high temperatures in the 80s, up to 90s. I think it feels like about 85 degrees out there. And you know, the winter is kind of tricky because people are indoors because they're sick. Maybe they're just trying to avoid the elements. But we need to make sure that we're staying hydrated, and there's many ways to stay hydrated. You know, our abuelas taught us about caldos, and in traditional Chinese medicine, there's also an emphasis on the warming foods right now, and the foods that are helping strengthen our spleen, our lungs, digestive system. And so one way to help ourselves with electrolytes is with caldos. So I definitely recommend taking the time to make a caldo if you're not hydrating enough, or if you find yourself coming down with a sickness or a cold. Preventative care is super important right now, especially if you're raising families and, you know, working all day, every day, pushing the body sometimes beyond the limits. Something that I've been doing for the past couple of days, if not a week, I've been juicing. And the way I've been juicing, I've been just blending, you know, some of my favorite seasonal veggies: celery, carrot, sometimes fennel, and with, you know, a fruit. It can be an apple, it can be a pear, and so I've been incorporating a little bit of ginger there and using horseradish, and it's been clearing us in our lungs, our sinuses, making sure that we're staying, we're preventing these illnesses from taking in, you know, rooting in our digestive tract. So we're definitely recommending that these days, if you have access to horseradish or, you know, ginger. If you don't have neither of those, even garlic is good on the blended juice from time to time. But yeah, that's where I'm at with our health. We're entering the holidays, so we're definitely going to be surrounded by all the sugary sweets, all the conchas and flanes, you know, pastry from time to time. We like our sugary pumpkin spice, que en realidad, you know, es calabaza. Calabaza is our need, probably, to connect with our indigenous roots with these pumpkin lattes. You know, I want to believe that our ancestors were making atolitos de calabaza with all the seasonal hierbitas, and so make sure that you're also nourishing that indigenous wisdom, those indigenous ways that you're incorporating a lot of that, because believe it or not, our bodies do hold memory. And through that, we also have, you know, memory through our taste buds. So when we try something and it's familiar, it's from our great grandparents, mothers, ancestors. And so it's important to make sure that we're honoring our bodies with the right foods. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. This is Chuck.
It's been a little while since we checked in on Scott's overseas adventure.
Let's see how he's holding up in the next AZTLAN Mundial section, where he faces another existential question: tacos or burritos?
I'm Scott Russell Duncan, Chicano writer and editor with the widest name. Scott! Here with fellow Pocho, Colton Campbell. Kuka Campbell.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, that's not me.
And what was your name again?
Joanna.
Joanna. I'm here with Joanna at the Latin American House, asking her about life in England and what she thinks about Chicanos. So thanks for being on AZTLAN Mundial, which I forgot to add. This is AZTLAN Mundial. So first question, what's your background and what are you doing in the UK?
Okay. I'm originally from Colombia. I've been here in this country for 14 years now, maybe. Oh my goodness. And what I do is, I don't know, I've been working in the voluntary sector for a long time, and I identify as my vocation to work for grassroots projects.
Oh, that's great. And how do you think life is for Colombians and other people like that in the UK?
Well, what I think we share as migrants here is especially that missing home feeling, because especially about the weather and the food. Colombia, it's a country that is predominantly warm and very rich in food, in vegetables and fruits. So yes, that's a common feeling in our community here.
I noticed that they're not fans here of fruits and vegetables, maybe?
Yeah, I think food here is much more expensive than in our territories, and also I think because of weather and transport and everything, it doesn't taste the same.
Brother, what's that, brother?
I don't know.
So have you ever heard the word Chicano before?
No, this is the first time. And yeah, I was very glad to find myself learning about the concept. And I mean the richness behind the Mexican culture that I wasn't even aware of.
Have you heard of Mexican Americans in general, or do you have any idea about them?
Yes, I have some kind of idea from the Mexican friends that I have here. But also, I think that in terms of the America territory, I think Mexicans are privileged in some way to have a rich culture they still kind of explore and learn from in comparison with other countries.
Colton, would you like to ask?
Where should we go get
in
Colombian?
London? Colombian food. Well, luckily, we have hotspots in the city where it's easy to find what you call street food, which for us is like caviar. So yes, there are different areas, especially South London in Elephant and Castle, and is that North London or West London? Haringey. North London.
So we have a certain person here at the moment, not here in Latin American House, but in this country, but have you heard about the what's going on in the U.S. and what do you think about generally about that, as far as the ICE?
Yeah, in my experience, unfortunately I have heard from family and friends living in the U.S. I don't follow the news that much, to be honest with you, because I am all the time kind of afraid of how much the information I receive is going to contaminate my judgment. So yeah, it's about their own experiences, and mainly it's not about the broad environment, but it's more about their personal individual journey, how afraid they are, how discriminated they feel, how uncertain the situation is for some of them at the moment.
For a bit of a change up, Do you like tacos?
If I can be completely honest, I'm a burrito fan.
It would be what?
Burrito.
Oh, burrito. Okay, yeah. I mean, I like both myself. So you never had, are you aware of the taco war that's going on between San Antonio, LA, and other areas? It's a pressing concern upon most Chicano brows right now.
Is there a taco war here?
I haven't heard of it, but again, I think I don't have, because I always eat burritos.
Oh, I see. So yeah, it's
I just love
the other side of the fence for you. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. I cannot comment much of that.
Well, it's been great chatting with you. Yeah. And it's really cool that you're on here. And any last comments from anyone that would like to say?
No, but I'm dying to go to Mexico because I really want to eat a lot of food there.
Me too. That's great. Good thing to end on. So this is AZTLAN Mundial. I'm Scott Russell Duncan.
Tacos all the way. Muy bien, Scott. Muy bien. Once again, AZTLAN Weekly loves books, so we invited another Somos Chicana contributor, poet, writer, and educator, Christian Williams Vigil, to share her amazing work. Let's take another listen.
This is Christian Williams Vigil, Chicana writer from El Paso, Texas, current reservation of the Tigua people and native lands to the Manso people. Orgullosamente, soy hija y nieta de inmigrantes. I have deep roots in Ciudad Juárez and Santa Barbara, Chihuahua. My ancestors were all hardworking people, and that drive pumps freely in my veins. Being raised on the border impacts my writing in that I'm very much not ashamed of my identity. Under these Chihuahuan desert skies, my bronze skin radiates and glows with joy. Here in El Paso, also known as Chuco Town or the 915, we wear our heritage with pride and don't make any apologies for it. We are El Paso strong. We band together when we confront great evils, such as the Walmart shooting in 2019. We mourn together, singing Amor Eterno at the top of our lungs and like Copal for comfort. This mindset translates into my work as an educator. I've been in the classroom at some capacity since 2014, whether it be as a sign language interpreter or as an English teacher, and I've been greatly inspired by my students. I was published in 2024 with Somos Chicana's Anthology of Resistance for my poem Los Pajaritos, where I give a message of support to my past, present, and future migrant students, porque somos de aquí y de allá. Currently, I'm working on my magnum opus, my YA fantasy novel called Rise of La Reina. It's about a girl who discovers not only her indigenous roots, but also her ties to the Mexica gods. It also includes a local legend about a haunted high school here in El Paso, so please be on the lookout for that. And without further ado, I would like to share another poem of mine with you all today called Maleducación. It expresses my frustrations about the current issues in education and the struggles we face. There is a trigger warning. Gun violence is mentioned. However, I would be remiss if I didn't stress the fact that this is something I and other professionals in the field deal with on a daily basis, and it's not a matter of if anymore, but a matter of when. So here we go with my poem, Maleducación. The classroom is flooding, saturated with tiny bodies, hungry because there's a shortage of food. The books that hold all the answers have been banned. The powers that be deemed these authors and characters too brown to stay in the room. But still, I fight, calling the assessments what they are. A millionaire's pipeline to more money in his pockets. They accuse me of indoctrination, but half of this administration couldn't spell it to save their lives. Their battle cry in my face is, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do to make the test scores look good. Be the sacrificial lamb. slit your throat and bleed it onto content the districts have scrutinized and paid high prices for. But your salary won't go up. If it doesn't fall under approaches, meets, and masters categories, then it has no place here. But there's always room for shooters reloading clips in the restroom stalls. They rewrote our grammar rules to include who takes the bullet first. It is I before he, except after we. And when they come to collect our bodies, admin will scoff that I left no subplans for the survivors. If you would like to stay up to date with my other pieces that have been published in various literary spaces, or be in the know about events where I lead workshops or do open mics, you can check out my website, christianwilliams-vigil.com, or my Instagram at ChristyVigilWriter. I regularly post TikTok videos of myself poking fun at being a writer using the latest sound trends, but most importantly, I use my platform to highlight injustices we are facing as a community. I believe in the power of the word and the power of the people, and want to use my platform to elevate that. I leave you all with a final call to action. Please, now more than ever, read, read, read. Whether it's comics, poems, nonfiction, articles, sci-fi, romance, or horror, please get your hands on a book. It's one of our biggest tools of resistance that we have, and this administration knows that. That's why they're working overtime to yank so many titles off of our shelves and out of the hands of our little ones. I thank you all again for your time today, and may we find light at the end of these dark days, and may we rise again like the great empires we once were. Thank you. At the end of these dark days, may our Copal sense carry our spirit up high, and may we rise again like the great empires we once were. Thank you.
For more from our hermana, Christian Williams Vigil, visit her website at christianwilliams-vigil.com. Not only is AZTLAN Weekly interested in creative writing, poetry, and history, we're also interested in education and educational equity and reform, so we lended our mic to la doctora Verónica Valadez, who invited us all to an event in Ventura, Califas.
Along the way, she told us about herself, her educational organization, a Hecat wind philosophy, and approaching education from a decolonial framework. Let's listen in.
Saludos, mi gente. I want to start this message by first thanking AZTLAN Weekly for holding space for our stories and for inviting me to share a little bit about myself and my work with all of you. Tlazokamati, muchas gracias for having me. My name is Doctora Verónica Xochitl Valadez. I'm an ethnic studies educator, scholar activist, traditional Mexica danzante, and along with my partner, Dr. Gabriel Orozco, co-founder of a Hecat Wind Philosophy, which is an ethnic studies consulting agency. Our primary objective is to support K-12 school districts in establishing transformative and powerful ethnic studies classes rooted in liberation and revolutionary love. Our work is grounded in the belief that education can be a site of healing, resistance, and collective liberation if we are willing to challenge the colonial foundations that continue to shape our schools today. Like many of you, I grew up witnessing firsthand how systems fail our Black, Indigenous, and Brown communities, and how deeply our stories and our ancestral memory have the power to transform us. That's what led to my dissertation entitled Planting Seeds of Revolutionary Love, and to the development of the 8 R's anti-colonial framework, a framework rooted in Indigenous, Chicana, Chicano, Black, and Filipino knowledge systems. This anti-colonial framework asks us to resist colonialism, restore our relationships, remember who we are, and reimagine what education can be when it is grounded in revolutionary love, community, and truth. With that being said, los quiero invitar to a free workshop I'll be hosting in collaboration with VC Defensa this Saturday, December 6th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Oxnard Public Library. I want to personally invite educators, parents, community organizers, and anyone committed to justicia for our gente to join us. This workshop is called Decolonize Your Classroom, Teaching Truth and Liberation in the Face of ICE. Together, we're going to unpack the way schooling has historically been used to uphold systems of oppression, especially against communities of color and especially immigrant communities who continue to be targeted and terrorized by ICE. But even more importantly, we will explore how we together can transform our classrooms, our homes, and our communities into spaces of resistencia, healing, dignity, and revolutionary love. Although my workshop will be part lecture, it will mostly be an interactive, community-rooted experience. Together, we'll be moving through three main components, including historical reflection, in which we name the systems that have shaped our schools, and critical dialogue, where we will actively imagine liberatory possibilities. And the third component will be artivism, which includes the creation of loteria cards as counter-narratives. This activity comes from the brilliant mind of my good friend and hermano en la lucha, Dr. Luis Genaro Garcia, who is a well-known Chicano artist and ethnic studies educator. These loteria cards are powerful acts of reclaiming our identities by challenging harmful stereotypes and uplifting the beauty, brilliance, and resilience of our communities. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, a youth mentor, or simply someone who cares about justicia, this workshop will give you tools you can use right away to stand in solidarity with our immigrant communities and resist the deeply rooted colonial practices still present in education. I'll close by saying that I truly believe that when we gather to learn, create, and remember together, we breathe life into our ancestors' dreams. We transform not only our classrooms and our communities, but our futures and the futures of our semillas. So please join us on Saturday, December 6th at the Oxnard Public Library. Come ready to reflect, to share good and positive energía, create and imagine what liberation looks like together. For more information, please follow us on Instagram at EHECATL, spelled EHECATL, Wind Philosophy. Tlazocamati, gracias, thank you community, la lucha sigue. I hope to see you Saturday. Hasta pronto.
Speaking about education, especially K through 12th grade education, ethno-linguist, Mesoamericanist, and Nahuatl instructor Obsidian Butterfly took some time to expose how Spanish-speaking students were being bullied by their teacher. In the following, she explains how microaggression isn't only wrong, but illegal. Let's listen in.
Let's break down why it's wrong to ask a student not to speak Spanish in a classroom. It's a violation of their civil rights, first of all. Language is part of a person's culture, identity, and community. So when you're asking someone to not speak their language of national origin, you're violating their rights.
I have both talked to you about speaking Spanish in my classroom, and now I'm the one that's being bad because I'm asking you to meet my expectations.
We didn't, okay, but we didn't know that was a policy. You could have, reminded it.
I've been talking to you about it since the beginning of school. Every time you talk.
Student is asked not to speak Spanish in a classroom. That is not a classroom rule or a policy. That is a linguistic discrimination. It's no different than asking a Black student not to speak AAVE or an Indigenous student not to speak their Indigenous language.
in Spanish.
You just you tell us to stop talking.
Yes,
You don't.
but why? Why do you think I do that?
We don't know.
Okay, two reasons. It's unfair to other people. You're speaking a language that other people in the classroom speak. So it makes it seem like you guys are talking about them. Two, today I had a girl breaking down right in front of you, and you guys were giggling, and then you started speaking Spanish.
Who was breaking down? Because we don't focus on anyone but ourselves. If I'm talking Spanish, I'm talking Spanish because I know obviously no one else can understand me.
Okay, but why do that? What is the point of that?
We always do it in ceramics and
Okay, but I'm not the teacher of ceramics. But I'm not the teacher of ceramics.
I know, but like, I've never done anything bad in Spanish. We literally just speak Spanish, like, in general.
That is my request. It has been my request. So it's disrespectful when you don't do what I'm asking you to do.
What this teacher's doing here is a double standard where she allows students to speak English but doesn't allow them to speak Spanish. And that is a direct violation of Title VI. That's federal law. It still stands. And Ann Arbor decision of 1979 forced schools to respect AAVE for Black students, their home language, recognizing it as a right, not a privilege. This is similar to the ESL classes for Spanish students at home so they could learn English.
Just like next time, because like we
No, there's not going to be a next time.
So just because we speak Spanish, we're gonna automatically think we're talking about someone in the class.
And I understand Spanish. So sometimes I do know what you guys are talking about.
We're never talking
Not
about
all
someone.
the time, and I can't pick it up nearly as quickly. But I do know some Spanish.
It's not like we're saying anything bad, so it's...
That's not the point. The point is that I asked you not to.
Yeah, but we didn't know the reason, so we were taking it and we were...
Me. Kimberly, you didn't ask me.
Because I feel like that's something you should also tell us. You're the teacher, you're the adult. Why do we have to...
That's right. I am the adult. And you are to do exactly what I tell you when it's in my class. If I tell you not to speak Spanish, there's a reason. I don't have to give you a reason. You're supposed to do it. Now, moving forward, there will be absolutely no Spanish in my classroom.
And lastly, I encourage you to report teachers that are censoring our children in schools like this. I also want to commend the young girls who were speaking up for themselves. They spoke very articulately, and I was very impressed by the way that they stood up for themselves. And I want to encourage them to continue speaking up for their rights this way. And I was disappointed in the comment section. If you guys want to, go ahead and follow this comment that I posted on there. There's a lot of people with a lot of mixed feelings. Some of them are very racist, and so I just thought it was kind of interesting. But let me know what you think.
For more from La Hermana Obsidian, find her on social media by searching Obsidian Butterfly, Obsidian with the letter Z, or on TikTok by searching Obsidian NNN. Again, Obsidian with the letter Z.
Now let's tune back into Robert's Brown Book Club, where he tells us about the seminal book, Bless Me Ultima.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. It's Robert Ramirez here. Today I want to talk about a classic. This one everyone knows, if not you should know. It's Bless Me Ultima by Rudolfo Anaya. So I don't have the book in my hands, but it's probably here on my shelf somewhere. I have a lot of different copies of it actually, older versions, newer versions. They made a movie about the book. It's been adapted into a play by many different theaters across the country. Bless Me Ultima is one of those books that everyone should read. It was actually the very first book we read back in 2020 when we started the Brown Book Club. This is the coming-of-age story based in 1940s New Mexico. We follow the character Antonio as he's caught between two worlds. On one hand, his mother wants him to grow to become a priest. On the other hand, his father wants him to grow up to be a cowboy, a vaquero. But the book is all about Antonio finding his own path. Everything changes when La Grande, the curandera Ultima, comes to live with Antonio and his family. With Ultima, we get a deep sense of indigenous Mexican culture. When you think of curanderos, curanderas, brujas, a lot of things might come to mind. Ultima is the type to give blessings, to be able to heal. She knows about herbs and different remedies, natural remedies. I think this book is helpful in characterizing what it means to be a curandera, a bruja, right? We think of these words, brujas, witches, and we think so negative, right? Especially those of us that came from a real big Catholic upbringing where witchcraft and, is the devil. But, we have ancient roots, ancient indigenous roots that also mean something to us. Back to the book. Ultima teaches him that connection to the land is also very important. There's a bit of a mystery going on with this book. Murder, death, witchcraft. This book is often on the ban list in many states due to the conflicting views when it comes to Christianity or Catholicism and natural spirituality. I'll be honest, when I first read this book just 5-6 years ago, it led me to wrestle with my faith a bit. As soon as we started discussing this book, I knew I was being very close-minded when it came to all natural, spiritual, indigenous medicines. I had always been taught through my Catholic upbringing that was wrong. This book really helped me open my mind and take in other perspectives. It really helped me to dig deep into my own history and my own culture. Now, we can't talk about this book without talking about Rudolfo Anaya, the godfather of Chicano literature. Anaya opened doors for generations of writers telling stories that are rooted in our landscapes. In this case, Nuevo Mexico, New Mexico, right? Our families, our contradictions, even la brujeria that's connected to our culture. Bless Me Ultima was published back in 1972 and immediately became a cornerstone for Chicano-style literature, Chicano-style storytelling.
If you're interested in joining the Brown Book Club, search Brown Book Club on Facebook and Instagram.
And we don't need to tell you about how bad the recent ICE raids have been in our Raza community, but our hermana Cici Anahuac, aka Mexican Excellence, tells us just how much ICE has infiltrated Spanish-speaking media. Let's listen in.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I just wanted to give my little 2 cents on this whole thing about Telemundo and Univision airing ICE ads on their programming. Where have we been? Like, Univision and Telemundo are undercover white supremacist conservatives that have been on this agenda for quite some time. A few years ago, I did a video for TikTok where I talked about follow the money, right? So who are the co-executives of Telemundo and Univision? You will find that a lot of them are white Latinos who are invested in white supremacy, and we see their policies and their board of directors and all that. They all have a political ideology in alignment, which is to extort our community. Now, hear me out. This is completely connected to the continuous use of the term Latino, because the term Latino, besides it being 1,000% Eurocentric, that talks about the Roman Empire, besides that, this is a term that has been used to invisibilize the racial disparities of this forged community that gives way into the monopoly of Spanish-speaking media by folks who model themselves and position themselves as the speakers and spokespeople of this community. If you do the research, you will find out that when this term became institutionalized as a medium into mainstream media, it was to monopolize who was going to represent the Spanish-speaking community. They had a hard time trying to come up with a pan-ethnic term that would encompass and grab so many populations, but the key executive directors of these were Cuban Americans who were obviously ideologically and racially not in alignment with the majority of us from this country. And so they used the Latino concept as a vehicle to exploit since the beginning. Right? Since the beginning, this has been used as a tool of exploitation and invisibilizes the racial, socioeconomic, linguistic, immigration status disparities found within this group. So let's not be surprised that Univision and Telemundo are doing this. We've known this. A lot of us have been bringing this to our attention. What we need, and this is where the real challenge is for people to stop watching them, right? But what is the alternative to Telemundo and Univision? I hope that somewhere down the line, we have a new network that is going to be equal players and an equal competitor to the monopoly that these folks have of Spanish-speaking media. That is when we shall see a shift between the conservative white supremacist control of Spanish-speaking networks right now and a decentering of that. But we need to have another alternative where people, specifically the monolingual speakers, Spanish speakers, can have a dependable outlet to go to, right? So these people in Univision and Telemundo are placing themselves and are exploiting, right? They're cannibalizing on our community while presenting us the trauma porn of ICE raids, but yet again, also being funded by ICE. So that is the challenge that we have. Number one, to stop watching their content, to stop watching. We can get our family members to, this is besides a boycott, right? this is besides a boycott, is not to ask them to stop airing these ads. We need to ask our community to stop watching their shows, to stop watching their content completely. Because if we're going to stand there and ask, oh, Univision, please stop playing our ads, they don't care about that. They care about money. They care about views. They care about how they're getting their market. So we need to encourage our community to stop watching Univision, stop watching Telemundo, and encourage other alternative networks or, you know, forms of information and education that can keep our community safe. That is my little 2 cents for today. Gracias.
For more from our hermana CC Anahuac, search Instagram for Mexican_excellence.
It's time for another history lesson. Let's tune back in to Curly Tlapayawa's AZTLAN Classics to learn about the legendary poet and activist Corky Gonzalez.
Rodolfo Corky Gonzalez is a Chicano legend. Born in Denver, Colorado, Corky was a powerful voice in the Chicano movement, blending activism, poetry, and politics. A former boxer turned community organizer, Gonzalez founded the Crusade for Justice in 1966, which became a hub for cultural pride and political mobilization. In 1971, the Crusade would go on to establish Escuela Tlatelolco, an independent school for Chicano children. His epic poem, I Am Joaquin, became a cultural manifesto, expressing the pain, resilience, and pride of Chicano identity. Gonzalez helped organize the 1969 National Chicano Youth Liberation Conference, inspiring a new generation to embrace their indigenous roots and fight inequality. Corky gave voice to a silenced history and helped shape a movement that demanded visibility, respect, and self-determination for Chicanos, Chicanas, and Chicanx people across the U.S. Southwest, which Chicanos continue to lovingly refer to as AZTLAN. Que viva Corky Gonzalez.
For more from Curly's AZTLAN Classics, go to Instagram and search AZTLAN Classics.
We're coming to the close of this winter break special, so let's take one last listen to Scott's final recording overseas.
This time he finds himself in Ireland with two special guests. He walks away with another moral dilemma: Los Angeles tacos or San Diego tacos? Come on now, let's listen in.
This is Scott Russell Duncan with AZTLAN Weekly, and this is AZTLAN Mundial. I'm a pocho here with fellow pocho Colton Campbell. Sorry about that. Hey. Say hello. Hello, soy pocho. Okay, very good, culture. We're here with two people. If I'd introduce yourselves.
I'm Catherine Lean. I'm a professor of Hispanic Studies at Dorsey College, Dublin.
And I'm Eric Carrillo, and I have a cultural project that is called Ondita Mestiza.
It's great to have you both here on AZTLAN Mundial. I guess the first question is, what the heck are you doing in Ireland?
I was born here, so I suppose it's my parents' fault.
And as for me, so I arrived to Ireland 4 years ago with my partner. Aww. And we are originally from Mexico City. And we came here to Ireland to study a master's degree. I studied a master's degree in Visual and Critical Studies. And at the moment, I'm working in the National Gallery as well, but also we have a cultural project that is called Ondita Mestiza, and we engage arts and together.
Great. I guess the first question would be, have you ever heard the word Chicano?
Yeah, I've taught Chicano studies here now for about 20 years, and it's not a very big field here. But nonetheless, I found that Irish students or students based in Ireland are really interested in it because there are a lot of affinities between Chicano people and Irish people. You know, we're obviously people with more Irish people or people of Irish origin living outside Ireland than in Ireland, you know, by many millions. And we have a lot of connections, I think, in terms of our love of music, in terms of our Catholic past, or present for some people. And we're also a bilingual country, even though Irish isn't widely spoken. Nonetheless, there have been efforts to revive it, and in some parts of the country. And, a lot of people do speak Irish as their birth language. So I was a bit concerned when I first started teaching Chicano studies that the students would really get it or relate to it, but they really like it. And I'm glad to say that we now have modules in Trinity College for the first time in Chicano studies.
Same question to you. So, well, actually, the first time I heard about Chicano was when I was listening to Selene when I was a child. And then I watched the movie with Jennifer Lopez. Oh, yeah. And I remember that really well about kind of the cosmovision, no? The Chicano. But then in the last years when I arrived to Ireland, I get like a similar feeling of feeling like an outsider. So then I started to read this woman. She's Chicana. Her name is Gloria Gonzaldúa. And so yeah, I found it really interesting how she calls this tercer mestizaje, like this. I don't know if there's a word in English to say mestizaje, like it's mestizaje. But yeah, that's when I think I felt more identified with Chicanos than I would say with the Mexican, no? Because I think a lot of Mexican, we are very proud of our Mexicanness, especially we haven't, migrated to another country. And then we think like all Mexican is only part of what is inside the territory of Mexico. That's now like I've been studying also. Catherine has helped me a lot about the Chicano studies, like how can I relate that Chicano identity with Mexican Irish, I guess, identity. So yes.
Well, that's great. Colton, do you have anything to?
Do you think it's possible to become a Chicano without moving to America or outside of America? Do you identify with that?
No, I think it's no, because when you are kind of inside a community, like for example, I'm from Mexico City, you think you're part of, the whole city, the whole system. So sometimes you need to go outside and see it with another perspective, no? And learning that you are not the center of the world. And I guess with Chicano, there's always this dichotomy of you are not Mexican, but you're not American. So what is it then, no?
Being Mexican-American is tough. Anglos jump all over you if you don't speak English perfectly. Mexicans jump all over you if you don't speak Spanish perfectly. We got to be twice as perfect as anybody else. Why are you laughing? What's so funny?
Nothing.
I'm serious. Our family has been here for centuries, and yet they treat us as if we just swam across the Rio Grande. I mean, we got to know about John Wayne and Pedro Infante. We got to know about Frank Sinatra and Agustin Lara. We got to know about Oprah and Christina. Anglo food is too bland, and yet when we go to Mexico, we get the runs. Now that, to me, is embarrassing.
No, Dad!
Japanese Americans, Italian Americans, German Americans, their homeland is on the other side of the ocean. Ours is right next door, right over there. And we got to prove to the Mexicans how Mexican we are, and we got to prove to the Americans how American we are. We got to be more Mexican than the Mexicans and more American than the Americans, both at the same time. It's exhausting. Man. Nobody knows how tough it is to be a Mexican-American.
So I think, obviously I think that Chicano identity has to do more with being an outsider, but they're also trying to find their own community. I don't know, so I think it's more kind of related to that.
Great answer. So I'd like to ask you something. So we've been around a couple of cities in the British Isles here, not quite Ireland, right? But and a lot of Mexicans have been kind of like shy to talk to us. Why do you guys think that is? Maybe you could inform us a little bit.
I know that Mexican people are shy to talk about.
Well, maybe like 3. We only found 3. Now,
Yeah, well, gosh, I don't know. I can't speak for them. I mean, Irish people love to talk, so I don't know, maybe Eric was into that.
I don't know, maybe, like, for example, maybe it's a language, like maybe some Mexicans, they speak, like, for example, here in Ireland, there's a lot of Mexicans. Maybe the mistake sometimes is like they try to speak with other Mexicans. My philosophy at the beginning was like, I'm not going to speak any Spanish because I wanted to learn more English, like live up fluent with the English. But I don't know, maybe maybe there's something in them that shocks them, or I don't know, or probably this kind of sense of in their perspective, no? Saying like, okay, you're Chicano, so you're not Mexican, so I don't feel connected with you. Or I don't know if that's to do with that, but maybe I'm saying something stupid, you know?
No, it's quite an experience to come across a pocho.
Oh, geez, oh my God.
Yeah, it's yeah. Been sitting here next to Colton.
So, would you have anything else to add?
Y'all do food studies. Can you tell us a little bit about this fusion between Irish and Mexican food?
When I can fusion might be a generous description of Silverport passes for Mexican food here. I'm afraid that, you'll come across fast food chains where they just throw some, and minced beef and cheese with maybe a few chilies on top of some, fries. So,
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
I think it's a term that maybe is used fairly loosely. For me, fusion food will be a real attempt to bring different culinary traditions together, in a way that's respectful to both, but trying something new, and I suppose that's one of the things that attracts me to Chicano stuff, that it's not an essentialist identity, it's an identity that welcomes different influences and so on. And as an Irish person who grew up in a very monocultural Ireland, that was definitely something that was very attractive to me. But going back to the food culture, you definitely have to adapt the recipes here. We were just talking about that earlier, because you can't get some ingredients there, or it's just too expensive. And so there is adaptation definitely that I think, is in some ways maybe not always successful, but then sometimes it works really well. So we were thinking of an example, and that was Buvia tacos with Guinness is a really welcome evolution, I would say.
I was thinking also a recipe that we did like open last year. So we did a tuna tostada.
Oh, geez, oh my God.
With obviously the tuna, it was from Ireland, with some chipotle mayo, jalapeno peppers with soy sauce. But then on the top, because usually in some parts of Mexico they add some fried onions, but in this case we added seaweed, Irish seaweed. Oh wow!
Geez, oh my God.
Gave like it encased the flavors of the sea. So I think it's about also to learn more about the Irish food, the ingredients that they have, because I recently also, that the most ancient Irish food are the oysters that been here for thousands of years, but obviously Mexico we eat it as well. So it's to figure out this bridge, between Mexican cuisines and Irish food, because some people would say there's no Irish food, but I'm the idea of there's Irish food. The problem is like the narrative, no, that being sometimes like is only, fish and chips for Irish to codol. By the way, codol is not. It's not. That's very Dublin, which is that's
both great answers. I think for our most important question now, which I understand that you guys may not. I know you guys have been around, but as far as you know, LA tacos, San Antonio tacos, El Paso tacos, or what they used to call DF, but like what they call Mexico's Ciudad de Mexico now, right? For Dublin tacos, rest or questions. If there's another place in Ireland they may have even better than Dublin, and you can like let us know. But like as far as you go, I'll go with Arthur.
I'm gonna go with LA tacos. But I know that's definitely not Dublin, I'm afraid.
Well, I think it has to do in my experience with a context where you came from. I think the taste is shaped by your context, by your, even if you back then you had like a certain more money to buy, like to get seafood. For example, seafood is not that cheap, not that expensive. Sorry, not that cheap. So it depends also of the mood. Like, for example, a really comfort food I really like, especially now in winter, is like a sopa de fideos with some spicy sauce and to some handmade tortillas and with some chicharron that I make here in Dublin. So that's really kind of homemade food, which you feel can say, you feel like you're in your home. But then I remember one time I went to San Diego and I was so impressed about the tacos.
Oh,
They were really good. I went to this small brewery, like they made their own beer, and they on site they were serving some tacos. I was so impressed, and I remember that they were served. What's the name of this to put the tacos on a container on this kind of waving?
Oh yeah, the shred tapas. What that? Armitas?
No, the container where they put the tacos to eat them. So yeah,
Like the taco warmer, or just like they carry it around?
the stand of the tacos. Oh, okay. So when I saw that as a Mexican, I was like, no, this is not nice. But then because we relate that to Tex-Mex, but then I tried and I remember like it was really nice. So yeah, I would say San Diego.
So I was gonna say that the wrong answer, LA taco, is correct. But then again, I did grow up in San Diego, so now I don't know I don't know the answer anymore. I have nothing but confusion since coming to this country. I want to thank all of you for being on AZTLAN Mundial. And any last words from any of you?
I los watchum. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Oh, Scott, Duncan. Muy bien, muy bien. And that does it, damas y caballeros. Thanks for listening to our winter break special. Gracias.
Hasta luego. Que viva AZTLAN libre.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Before we go, here are Ernesto's thoughts about last year. Take it away, hermano.
Last year was a tough one for the raza. As you all know, last year is when the colonial imperialist Donald Trump's private police began their assault on La Raza, starting one of the main first targets, here in Los Angeles. An all-out assault on the city, thousands of Raza harassed, hundreds, or probably even by now thousands, deported or detained. I, myself, Ernesto Ayala, of El Partido de la Raza Unida, Chicano, from Pacoima and San Fernando, detained and held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles for 3 days, along with 3 other compas. Our charges or our crime, well, for 3 of us, being Chicano, and the other one standing in solidarity with the Raza. So it was tough. It was a tough year. We were let go, but charges still pending, I believe. We don't really know. Haven't heard anything, and it stayed at that. They let us go, and they gave us back our belongings, except for my phone and another compañero's phone, which they kept for evidence of I don't know what. But we're still here, still in La Lucha. My place of employment still routinely is targeted by ICE. These ICE colonial agents, federal agents, that continue to harass Raza. They moved from just in Los Angeles and Southern California to various other states, doing the same thing, harassing, beating, murdering people, murdering a father in Chicago. And then yesterday, although it's already 2026, but yesterday murdering a young woman, a young mother, a white woman who was there, a legal observer, there basically standing up for the Raza. Renee Nicole Good, presente in La Lucha. This was in Minneapolis, not far from where George Floyd was murdered a few years ago. So it's been a tough one on the Raza, as you all know. Everything else that's also going on, as this empire lashes out internally and externally, because it's let's be honest, it's on its throes, its death throes. It is not what it used to be. It is not, internally, it's not what it used to be. The raza has grown immensely together with other groups, but the raza, Chicanos, Mexicanos, other raza, we have rebrowned a land that was originally completely brown. And the geographic area in which the Chicano Mexicano has always existed, at least up until there was Mexicanos and obviously Chicanos, but even our ancestors. The southwestern part of the empire, what many of us call AZTLAN, has for the most part been majority rebrowned. California, majority raza. Texas, majority raza. I believe Nevada, probably, and Arizona, and several other states not too far from it. And this has caused a backlash from white America, European settler America, as we can see in the whole immigration debate, which is really not about immigration. It's about anti-Mexican, which at the end of the day, it really is anti-native. Ironic in this country that that's the way the argument is, but that's part of settler colonialism. So that's happening internally, and externally in the world scene, the United States is no longer the unipolar power it used to be. Several other countries of the world have risen to become world powers, including Russia, China, and other countries breaking their role as being subservient and potentially taking on a much bigger role, such as Mexico and such as other countries throughout Africa. Vietnam is growing. Burkina Faso in Africa has also broken its shackles under the leadership of Ibrahim Traore. So all this is going on around the world, and obviously one of the bigger examples, that are closer examples, that's all up in the news now, Venezuela, who democratically elected a new government in 1999 and has democratically continually elected this government since then, since 2025, a government that has stood strong amidst various attacks, sanctions, direct military attacks, and they have never given up, and they have never given in. In fact, they've developed their roots much deeper in their patria, in Venezuela, and sustained their revolutionary stance in the face of all the historic attacks that happened against them, and what recently was a blatant, disgusting military attack that kidnapped their president, compañero Nicolás Maduro, and his wife. So that's what's going on. The empire is attempting, and a lot of people might say, well, it's just Trump, but not just Trump. Trump is a result of what's going on. Trump is a natural outcome of colonialism and imperialism as it decays. That is what Trump is. Trump is not some anomaly. He didn't come out of nowhere. He's there. This society birthed him and the people around him. The reaction around him, naturally, Trump and his people are as American as apple pie. So that's we're seeing the quick the rapid degeneracy of this empire, again, as its violent tentacles thrash throughout the world, including internally. internally in something we never thought we'd see in our lives. Paramilitaries running around the country, hunting down raza, hunting down whoever stands with us, hunting down non-Europeans. That's what it is, hunting down non-Europeans. And if there is a European that stands with the raza or another migrant or immigrant people, they too become a target by these thugs, ICE agents. So it's something we never thought we'd see in our lives, but here it is. And we're seeing this happen throughout the world. The death throes of an empire. And the raza as a focal point of this struggle. So that's had a deep effect on our people, on our communities. I can tell you, obviously, from my experience, a very intimidating experience, a lot of fear, a lot of terror in my immediate family, in my community, and I've already have had several friends who've had a loved one, including a parent, kidnapped and removed from this part of their land. I've had coworkers who've already had loved ones or a parent kidnapped or removed from this part of their land by these enforcers of a foreign occupation. Because let's be honest again, that's what the United States is in the Southwest. That's what the United States is in AZTLAN. They are a foreign occupier. They are the ones that do not belong here. They are the ones that forced themselves on us. Because we already had a history. When the United States was birthed from occupation as well, but on the East Coast, in other indigenous lands, we already had our own history over here. Completely different. Our own development. Another colonizer that we had kicked out to only be reoccupied. And here we are. But it's also given a lot of raza the hope for something different. It's given a lot of people the understanding that not only is this empire not eternal, it is the people that are eternal. It is the people who can survive. It is history that teaches us that when we organize, we can overcome great odds. We look back in our own history as Chicanos, as Mexicanos, as raza, as indigenous people. We have fought empires. We have fought colonizers. And after a long and arduous struggle, it wasn't easy. We have emerged the victors. But here we are still. And we've already seen this. Only this time, it's the whole world it's the whole world that's at stake. And we're right in the middle of it. La raza, AZTLAN. So those are my quick thoughts on last year. A lot of building happened of the partido and in general of the movimiento, the resistance, because this is resistance. When you see people out there with whistles, checking out areas, making sure these agents are not there, warning the raza, warning people, helping people out, etc., etc., that is resistance. That is resistance. That is anti-colonial resistance. Because that's what this fight is about. It's anti-colonial. We can't let them frame the argument for us. We are for immigrants. We are for immigrants. We are for immigration. All human beings on planet Earth have the right to walk and live in happiness with their families, with their community, with their people, whoever they may be. As dark or light as they may be. As tall or short as they may be. As curly-haired or straight-haired or no hair they may be. Every human being has a right to be on their planet. So we are not against immigration, but this struggle is not about immigration, because the United States sits as an occupier on indigenous land, on Raza land, in AZTLAN. They are the occupiers. They have forced our people into this role, like all other colonial situations, telling some you're okay to be here and telling others you don't belong here. It's what happened in South Africa, Azania. It's what has happened throughout history. It's what has happened in Palestine. The occupation tells some Palestinians, you're okay to be here, and others, it literally tells them they are immigrants in their own land. So us, La Raza, we're in a similar situation, where the colonizer attempts to, first of all, frame the argument. Who are you? You're coming into my country. No, as a matter of fact, you came into my country in 1848, and you have forced yourself, your laws, your culture of destruction and genocide upon us. So we are not arguing from that standpoint. We're arguing from our own standpoint. We have our own eyes, Raza. And that's actually why AZTLAN Weekly was born, to express the world, to express our barrios, to express our reality from our point of view. Our point of view is valid. Our point of view is that of over 50 million Raza within the belly of the beast. 50 million Chicanos, Mexicanos, Centroamericanos. Millions of more other indigenous peoples. We have our own point of view, and it's as legitimate as any other, except for that of a colonizer, which is not legitimate. But anyways, those are my thoughts on last year, compañeras y compañeros.
31 minutes, Coordinated Universal Time.